we're going to take it up to next panel section. So I'm going to be calling up the panelists, people that are going to be up here doing it with me. So you're going to be learning a lot from this panel section. The first person I am going to be calling up, please, with a clapping ovation, let's make welcome Anita. Please keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. The next person I'm actually going to be welcoming is the person of Kelvin. Please put your hands together for Kelvin as Kelvin comes up. Welcome. The next person on this panel is Atoms. Please put your hands together for Atoms. And the last person on this panel section is wonderfully the co-founder of Blockchain Hub. Please help me welcome Emmanuel. Please put your hands together for him. Welcome. Welcome to this panel section. So quickly, I'm going to pass the mic. You guys are going to introduce yourself, what you do in like 1 minute. Let's start from you, Emmanuel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anita, thank you so much. Welcome, guys, to Blockchain Tech Conference 2022. My name is Emmanuel. I'm a blockchain business developer, and I also trade the financial market. I have my background in finance, finished from University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. So I double as a blockchain business developer and a trader. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And let's have the introduction from Anita.
Mike.
All right, hi everybody. Good morning. We're still in the morning, right? Or afternoon. I'm Darlington Anita and founder of Crystal Space. Crystal Space is a virtual learning platform for simplified crypto and blockchain education. And I'm a blockchain community developer and token advocate at Mara. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to welcome one more person to this panel section. All right, let's take introduction from Kevin.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Okoye Kevin Chiboyu, popularly known as Ezimo Blockchain. I'm the founder and CEO of Jinakev Digital Academy, as well as co-founder of Blockchain UNN. Blockchain UNN is a blockchain club at the University of Nigeria created to enlighten people about the blockchain industry and how it works. So we are all about education, impact, and making sure that people of the university environments get to understand blockchain. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please let's get an introduction from Atom.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joshua Atom. I'm the lead mobile app developer at Blockchain Hub Africa. And I solely do things revolving around mobile app development, especially in connection with blockchain. And not just blockchain left out. I also do things revolving around things which are not extremely blockchain, but the normal way, the normal things which you know, or the normal mobile apps which you interact with. I'm also the lead mobile app developer at T-Boss. We are all welcome to this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. So our first question, we're going to be throwing it to you, Mr. Kelvin. So the first question is going to be, what is blockchain for the normal person that just walked in here? How can you explain to that person what blockchain is?
All right. Blockchain, in layman's language, as many people understand it, is a chain of blocks.
All right. Is this more clear?
It's better.
All right, cool. So, I guess you didn't get my introduction earlier. So, I am Kevin Chiboyim, popularly known as Ezemo Blockchain, the co-founder of Blockchain UNN. Now, blockchain, as many people know it, is a chain of blocks. This is more of a digital ledger. If you know what a ledger is, it's a book that takes in records. It can take in any form of records. Now, what blockchain does is that it can take any record going from the financial services, going to identity management data, going to any form of data. That's what blockchain basically is a digital form of ledger that can take in data in simple terms. That's what I would define blockchain to be. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that. So I think one of the key word when we are talking about blockchain, it's open source, right? It's a ledger completely. But in defining blockchain, we need to also, one of the key things there is that it's an open source ledger, right? People, for new people coming into the space, they associate blockchain with just cryptocurrency. I mean, but you can do so much more. Of course, everyone in this room knows that we can do so much more with blockchain other than cryptocurrency. But what happens, why I need to mention that open source is, at the advent of cryptocurrency, what happened is that before cryptocurrency, right, we used to fiat currency. There were so many eras of currency. We had the cowries, the gold, the trade by barter era, and all those things. So in that time, people had the power to determine the value of what they call currency, especially when you're doing trade by barter. Now, the advent of blockchain took that power back to the people, all right? So let's use the first instance of blockchain being cryptocurrency. What cryptocurrency does is that it took the power of what we define as money back to the people because it doesn't have a central body that governs, the value, all right? So in defining blockchain, I think one of the important things that we should mention that is an open source ledger for safekeeping of records and for a layman's definition for safekeeping of transactions within the blockchain space. So that open source is very key. I think you will agree with me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kevin and Emmanuel, for your contribution. So my next question will actually be going to Anita. So I just want to know if someone here wants to start out their journey in blockchain, what do you advise should be what are the career options in blockchain and what should they look out for?
All right, thank you so much for that. Usually when people ask me or tell me that they want to start, they're very interested in blockchain and want to learn. The first thing I tell them to do is to identify with a community. Rather than tell them, okay, these and these are the courses you need to take, as opposed to what we were introduced to, most of us were introduced to when we first started, I tell them to attach themselves to communities. The reason I say that is because, first of all, the reason each and every one of you is here or got to find out about this event, this amazing event, is because some way, somehow, you belong to a community that you probably have seen the advertisement, right? Am I correct? If it's not by community, I don't mean only Telegram community as what we all identify with, but then I mean your socials, right? Your Instagram, your Twitter, your WhatsApp status. Some way, somehow, you saw it on someone's status or someone's feed that there was something coming up here today and decided to attend, right? Now that's the power of community. So the one thing I always tell people is, of course, before or for blockchain to really, really, really be adopted by the masses, we need community. So that's why I tell you, before you start, the first thing you need to do is join a community, right? Now, obviously, the first thing I should tell you is get educated. But then everything you need to do, the people you need to direct you, the information you need to get for free are wrapped in those communities that you find yourself. For example, I don't know if Blockchain Hub Africa has a community yet, but then usually when people ask me, I tell them, okay, I just list out some communities, including my community, and tell them these are educational communities. Join here, start. Learning precedes earning. So before, obviously, the first reason why you wanted to get involved is because you want to earn, right? So the first thing you need to do is learn. And you get access to free education on these communities. You could decide with, on Telegram, these days, it's not like WhatsApp. You don't need to, I'm just trying to like relate it to your everyday life, right? It's not like WhatsApp where maybe a message is sent on a group chat and then after a while, sorry about that, and then after a while, the message disappears. Maybe you joined in late. But on Telegram, it's programmed in a way that you can get access to the recordings of previous classes and sessions and get information on ongoing live chats and educational sessions where you can learn about blockchain and everything you want to learn for free. You can identify yourself with those things. You can, if you belong to, or if you've got a Twitter account, you can decide to join spaces. Most of these spaces hold every day, or it depends on the kind of people you're connected with. And then aside from learning, you get to connect with like minds like you. In that community, no matter how small it is or how large it is, you have people with the same level of, or either the same level, similar, or people that have done better, or, okay, if I'm to categorize it, I would say you've got a beginner, you've got intermediate, you've got experts in that same community. So that's like the perfect place to not only learn, but give yourself the permission and chance to grow big in the space. So that's what I would say. Identify yourself with communities. Thank you.
Yeah, can I add to that? Okay, so I'm very particular about this question because we get that question a lot, and the blockchain space is such a dynamic ecosystem and very broad. Broad in the sense that it is a space where any forward-looking person can play at. All right, you don't have to have the technical background to be in the blockchain space. Okay, so for starters, you need to define what is your ability. Okay, do you have have you been in the Web2 development and have you been a web developer? What's your skill set? What's your skill level? All right, that will determine the part you're going to do. If you don't have this background, you have to be looking at the non-technical parts of blockchain. Okay, and I feel like it's such a broad topic, right? Because you have so many things that you can do that are non-technical in the blockchain space. You can become a content writer, you can become a researcher, you can become a UI, a designer, you can become, I mean, this was done, I think we should bring our team member that did this, okay? I mean, she's working full in the blockchain space and I don't want to say a lot of things. She's so amazing. So for starters, right, you have to define the path you want to do, okay? You want to define that. Defining that is on the strength of your skill set, okay? Do you have the background to do the development phases of blockchain, to do coding and all those things? If you don't have the background, there's no problem. I mean, I have content writers that are in as high as $3,000 on a monthly basis. Content writing in the blockchain space. I mean, there's a lot you can do that doesn't depend on you just to code and to write whatever. Okay, so these are the people I want to talk to because if you don't have that background, it's such a far cry, given the time that you have to invest to start learning all these things. So you find out that so many people are discouraged to take that journey in the blockchain space because they feel like they need to have the technical background to be able to play in this space. You don't need to have that, all right? Focus on what appeals to your skills, not what appeals, what you can do based on the skill set you currently have when taking a journey into the blockchain space. So if you don't have that technical background, focus on the non-technical roles in the blockchain space. And one of our speakers, she's an amazing lady, of course, most of us here in the audience knows her, Deborah of Affin Blockchain, of Affin Group. She doesn't have a technical background, she doesn't write codes, all right? But she's the CEO of Affin Blockchain. Does that make, like strike a chord? You can go as far as even the people that have the technical experiences can do so well without having the technical background. I'll give you an example. Another speaker we're bringing here is Chris Annie. He has products in the blockchain space. He doesn't have that. He doesn't write code. Okay, so there's so much you can do that are not in the non-technical roles of blockchain if you are a beginner. All right. And then so when you identify a group, all right, a vibrant group, you have to join. Of course, to answer your question, Blockchain Hub Africa has we have our group, all right. We have a community. Okay, we have a community on Discord. We have on Telegram and all those things. All right. So before we finish this program by tomorrow, we'll put all these things on the screen for you to be able to join. All right. So identify what appeals to the skill set that you have. If you don't have that technical background, start focusing on non-technical job roles in the blockchain space, and from there you can build on it. Thank you.
I think I would want to add a little knowledge to that. Okay, I also want to say, technically, every one of us here, we're just like one step into blockchain. The next question is, how do we actually bring in the next step? How do we actually bring in the other step into blockchain? My colleagues here have already given justice to this, but I'd like to chip in something more later about that, and that has to do with information and also content. So some people don't actually have any technical knowledge, like whether related to computer or blockchain in general. So you can actually start from there, consume some technical contents. There are contents which are not related to things, coding, they are not related to design. They just explain blockchain in its basic form. So starting from that side, you can actually get an understanding of what blockchain really is. Then from there, you can now have like a defined way or defined perspective in order to choose a path which you feel you can dive in. If you're a painter, there's a space for you. The only thing there is how you can harness painting into blockchain. You are into art, there's a space for you. You are into normal copywriting, there's a space for you. You are an ordinary mobile app developer. In fact, the space is vast for you. Whatever field, whatever profession you have currently, you can transition that into blockchain. The only thing you have to do is to look for people who have already done that. If you can't find people who have already done that, a little research can actually give you a help. Then the last thing there is to get a mentor, because these mentors are people who have already gone through the path which you want to throw. Looking up to them, they can give you the helping hand in order for you to have a stable stand. Thank you.
No, you're not. Let me ask Mike. Sorry.
So it's common knowledge that at times what you start with is not exactly what you tend to do eventually. Now, so if you are starting out as somebody that has zero experience in the blockchain industry, and then perhaps you feel maybe perhaps you feel like maybe graphic design is your thing. After trying out graphic design, don't keep doing it when you know that it's not really working out for you. Always feel free to switch. You may find out that content writing eventually appeals to you even more than graphic design actually used to. Feel free to switch. Even in say schools, most people what you studied in school is not what you are doing. True or false? True or false? Yeah, most times what you study in school is not what you eventually get to do. So that applies to the blockchain and Web3 space too. So when you start something as somebody looking to get a job in the blockchain industry, you start your learning process and it's not working, feel free to quit. Some people till today are still trying to learn JavaScript. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they are still trying to learn JavaScript without actually building anything. And they are still struggling with it. When, maybe they have other things that appeals to them in the course of their learning JavaScript within those 4 to 5 years. So always feel free to switch. The industry is so wide. All you basically have to do is research. And of course, for these skills are not skills that you are naturally born with. You mustn't be naturally born, say, as somebody that loves designs, as somebody that can act, as somebody that can speak. Even public speaking is a skill that you can learn. You understand? So most of these skills are things that you can learn. So that's just what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, everyone. I learned so much from that. The next question I'm going to be asking is going to you, Atoms. So I remember coming into the space and making a lot of mistakes as a newbie, right? So what would you advise a newbie here getting into the blockchain space? What are the do's and don'ts? What shouldn't they do as they're entering into the space?
Okay. I'll start with the normal thing which everyone associate blockchain with, and that's cryptocurrency. First of all, blockchain is not all about cryptocurrency. Um, I'll have to like break blockchain down a little bit now. We all know what database is, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, that is what blockchain is, but in a different way. It is built in such a way that you can actually have a trustless transaction. Transaction doesn't have to do with just the normal finance we do, but it encompasses everything you do in blockchain, whether you are sending picture to someone or you are trying to upload your picture to IPFS to get something. All those things in general, we call them transactions. Now, just like I said, it is not all about cryptocurrency. A lot of solutions can be built on blockchain. So that mindset, taking away that mindset, is the first thing. Then the second thing there is that it is not a get-rich quick syndrome. You can, in fact, for you to start making money out of it, you must at least get the necessary knowledge needed in your path. It's not something you can just dive in today. The next thing, you've broken the bank. No. Then the second thing has to do with investing in some projects for those of us who are already advanced. Now, for you to actually go into the investing, you have to know more about the project. What are they up to? What's the project up to? Because we've gone through eras of crypto, the eras of shitcoin, when different shitcoins come up, people put in their money. The next day, we see a red bar. After some green bars, people loses their money. We went into the NFT stage. People think that NFT is all about apes. They keep buying apes. Before you know it, apes got vanished. Some people who bought apes of 30 million, they have zero left. Now, most of them don't actually understand what they were into. But due to the hype and the mindset to get rich, they ended up making mistakes. So one of these things is for you to understand what you're actually going into. If you don't understand what the project is all about, it is very, very good for you to ask questions. Now, for most of those of us who are really neck deep into the trading aspect, there's what we call white paper. You try as much as possible to go through the white paper. You can as well check the network which it was built on. If it is built on Binance chain, you try as much as possible to check the contract. People who own majority of the coin, who are they? The people, the developer who came up with the project, did he renounce the project? Now, these are some of the things you have to look out before you make your investment. I think I might have to stop here.
All right, thank you for that. To just also add something, one of the things I also think that as a newbie joining this space, you should be very, very careful not to do is, I say this everywhere, wearing the newbie tag for too long. Now, by that I mean, sometimes, I think it's Kevin that says something about someone is learning, let's say you're learning, I think it's your JavaScript for like 3 years, and you're still doing it, waiting till you get perfect. Now, I'm not trying to say, of course, you should learn something and try to get excellent at it, but don't, because the truth is, the reason why this amazing conference is being held today is because the organizers are trying to like ensure that you get this thing for yourself. It's not just the hype, it's not just the shout. We want you to ensure that you actually make something out of this technology. There's something I thought of today, this morning when I was coming, and it just dropped in my heart, and I was like, okay, I was going to say that. I would say, in a way, you can argue with me. Blockchain is like, especially to Africans, should I say, second chance at life. We already know how we're Nigerians, right? We know how Nigeria is messed up. There is no need talking about it. I mean, look at the recent, in quotes, redesign the government said they collected how many billions of naira just to do. And you're seeing the rising the inflation, you're seeing how everything is happening. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, don't just join the space and continue being a learner. Keep learning, but ensure that you find yourself in this space. That's the beauty of this technology. The fact that you can join in and then you're not just lost. It's not a one-way method, but then you heard when he mentioned that the person who designed this is making tons of money doing stuff like this. He also talked about how that a painter can come into the space and make something out of it. Whatever it is that you can do naturally, figure out a way to, figure out a way to position yourself rightly in this space and take advantage of it. That's why we keep using the word leverage on blockchain. Whether you're a developer, whether you're a non-technical person, you know nothing. I'm not a tech, like in quotes. I don't really do the whole tech thing. But then I had to, when I came in, I struggled with a lot of things. And then I had to figure out, okay, what exactly was my passion? And then find out how to place that passion in this space and make a name for myself. So you too can do that. Don't wear the newbie tag for too long. You're a newbie for 1 year, 2 years. You're still dragging newbie with people that are joining the space newly. Find yourself, build yourself, and sell yourself. Thank you.
Okay. I think I'd like to add more things. The next thing I wanted to add. I think I sort of forgot when I was speaking. It has to do with rules. So, majority of rules in blockchain, we sort of have a lot of people inside there. But there is something people don't actually know. There are some rules which don't actually exist in blockchain, but people do invent them. Sometime last year, we had the first conference. I met a couple of persons, and there is this particular person which I met. His name is Christian.
Okay.
Christian actually took a different path in blockchain, and that is journalism. Do we know anything about crypto journalism?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, it is not something that is rampant. Christian took this part, and he's doing well in that part. Now, what I'm trying to stress is that some rules are not there. You can actually create one by yourself. Then the next thing we also have to, while you are trying to create that rule, you also have to bear it in mind that that rule must offer a solution to the public. It is not, you shouldn't just look at the money. You should look at what? The solution. Does that rule, do we have a problem currently at place? If there's a problem, then that's your role. Should be able to do what? Solve, bring a solution to that problem. Then, boom, you are into blockchain full time.
Yeah, I just want to add, I don't know if you have time. Okay.
Okay, we need to rush because we are like behind time. But I'm going to actually pass this question to you. So find a way to suit your answer in it. So the question is, recently, over the past 1 year, we've seen companies crash. Dono is down, FTX and the rest of it, and people's money are really going for vanishing.
Yeah.
Like SAPA is hitting hard. So my question is, how do we really keep our funds secure?
Mhm.
And is crypto really decentralized? What's the key to it?
Is crypto really decentralized? I mean, we have DAO projects, all right? Decentralized autonomous community, in quotes. So that's the only decentralized aspect of crypto, I would say. Other than that, is crypto decentralized? No. If it's not a DAO project, it's not decentralized, all right? Because it's someone that created it and all that, yeah? For keeping your funds safe and how do you play safe in the blockchain space, I think it's very simple. I think it highlights one of the benefits of the Web3 technology, right? Because basically Web3, you can't talk about Web3 without talking about decentralization, okay? For me, decentralization, it's very simple. If you want to define it, it's the absence of a central governing body, that takes care of a particular thing, whether it's transaction or whether anything. Okay, so we have to go back to the basics of what cryptocurrency brought as the first product of the blockchain. When I talked about giving back the value and the power to determine the value of what we call money to the people. Okay, so what blockchain has brought to the space is pure decentralization. Okay, so when you have there are a lot of players in the space, okay, but I want to use cryptocurrency to answer this question. So for crypto players, most of us here have accounts on different centralized exchange, right? But I think the reason why the reason why this happens is that centralized exchange provides that ease of transaction for users, okay? So you're kind of passing on the responsibility of safekeeping your funds to this centralized exchange at the expense of who controls that money at the end of the day. Okay, So there are Web3 also brought a lot of decentralized applications and wallets that you can use. And what happens with centralized exchanges, that they keep the private key to the assets that you have with them. Okay, we have the private key and the public key when you talk about keys for crypto assets. Now, what is important for you and what you need to have to be safe and to be in 100% control of your fund is the private key. Your public key is your address, okay? The address you copy and send to people to send funds to is your public key. So for centralized exchanges, they keep the private key and then let you have access to the public key. With that, you don't have 100% control. You're at the mercy of the longevity of that centralized exchange for your funds to be available to you. I take, for instance, the recent happened, FTS and all these things happening. FTS went down because you don't have your private key to the funds you have at FTS. You cannot re-import that fund in another wallet, okay? But let's say you have your funds in one of the Web3 applications like MetaMask, for instance, all right? MetaMask gives you access to your public key and also your private key. So what happens is, if you lose access to your account on MetaMask, you can use your private key. Okay, go to another device, download MetaMask again, or Trust Wallet, or any of these, decentralized applications that keeps wallet applications, and then use your private key to re-import the funds you have in the wallet that you already lost. So in essence, you're not losing your fund. Okay, but for centralized exchanges like FTX, if you're using that analogy, they don't give you access to your private key, so they are in control of your funds. Okay. So for everybody here, I think we have to go back to the basics, all right? Get back home, start creating accounts of MetaMask. And of course, MetaMask is planning a very huge airdrops, just a giveaway. So, so if you're here, if you're using MetaMask, they have a new feature on MetaMask where you can swap funds, you can exchange funds, okay? Just take $1,000, go there and do swaps. You just swap Ethereum USD, Ethereum BUSD. Just do it multiple times. That would qualify you, give you enough TVL to qualify you for that airdrop. I mean, some of these things we think that they're insignificant, okay? I mean, I've had airdrop that I got up to like 10K from airdrop, 10K USD from airdrops. So take this as a giveaway, go back home, create a MetaMask account, and I'm saying it's addressing the question you've asked me. Let's get back to the basics, okay, of what blockchain has brought to the table, which is decentralization. All right, let's get back to that basics. If you're a trader, you want to have your funds in centralized exchange, depending on how often you trade, okay? But as a safe practice, don't put all your eggs in one basket, all right? If your trading fund is $1,000 and you have $10,000, keep the $1,000 in your Binance or KuCoin or whatever, and then keep your $9,000 in a decentralized wallet where you have access to both the private key and then the public key. I think I've answered that question. Now, to just address the last question that we talked about, what are the do's and don'ts if you're getting into the space, all right? I would break it into two. If you're a developer, you want to focus on one thing. Don't want to be the jack of all trades and master of none. Find a path, master it, and be a professional in it. So if I'm looking for mobile developer, I know I'm going to be calling Atoms because his specialty is in that area. Don't want to do everything. Don't be a content writer, UI UX designer, and whatever. I mean, there are people that have that ability and the grace to do that, okay? But you want to specialize on one, okay? Become an expert in that and then go to the next one. For crypto traders, the do's and don'ts, I mean, he highlighted it. It's the money that you have in your pocket that is your own, okay? So for traders, for me, I mean, I trade, so I can talk like this. Learn to take profits if you're trading futures or whatever. Okay, that's what we call DCA. Okay, DCA in and out. Don't wait for if your take profit is going to be ultimately $10,000, for instance, right? You want to start taking those profits small. Okay, it's the one that you have in your pocket. For instance, a lot of people are in an open position in FTS token when this thing started happening. If you're buying that, they're going to be sending you a love letter. Like, your account is liquidated immediately because, it was a sharp drop that happened. The fact is this. If you're a trader, I'm talking to traders now. You can't play down the role of fundamentals, all right? Fundamentals will always override the technical analysis, no matter what you're doing, because fundamentals is a function of news and all these things that you cannot control. Anything can happen at any split second. So you've done a technical analysis and everything is telling you that, oh, this project is going to the moon, right? And then there is something that happened like what we saw with FTS, and then it crashes everything. I mean, it overrides whatever you're doing in the fundamentals. So to address that do's and don'ts, if you're a developer, if you're a builder, focus on one thing and be an expert in it. If you're a trader, understand that is the money you have in your pocket that is your own. Okay, for projects, for investing in projects, please, it's something that we can talk about for the whole day. But I'll give you this: your funds are safer in projects that have real-time use cases. Okay, project that is tied to protocols, to networks. For instance, BNB. Okay, BNB, Binance has their own protocol, their own network. All right, so there is a real use case that drives demand for that particular token. So, I mean, if you're going to transfer money from Trust Wallet, you're going to send money to BNB, to Binance, to centralized wallet, or any other place. You're going to pay your transaction fee in BNB, smart chain. Okay, your same BNB. Okay, so it creates demand for that product. Forget about the hype. If you can't identify what will create a constant demand for a particular crypto project, it's going to die down without you knowing. Okay, it's that use case that is built around that project that drives constant demand for those projects. And when there is a lot of demand for a particular item, not just the project, you see that the value tends to go up. So start putting money in projects that have real use cases, most especially projects that is tied to networks and protocols. I think that will be a safe practice for you.
Okay, we have the final question, and I'll start from you, then any other person can take it. So we're all talking about Web3, Web3, Web3. Do you think it's just a hype? That's the first point. And do you think, how do people build projects and scale it on there?
Okay, I mean, how you build project and scale it is something that we can also talk about, like a full day discussion, because it talks about the 360 life cycle of a product, all right, from the development phase to marketing and to, I mean, you have to create the market and then you have to start scaling. So it's a very broad topic. But if I want to summarize that, I want you to have unique ideas, okay? Have unique ideas. By unique ideas, I'm not saying go and reinvent the wheel, okay? You can pick out something that is already in the market and tweak it just a little bit, okay? So just make your research and have unique ideas. Early this year, we got in contact. I mean, a company started talking to us at Blockchain of Africa. They were looking for photographers. They are focused on NFT. So they're looking for creators, photographers, image creators. Okay. So we started trying to see if we can start to build an ecosystem of people that are in that space. Whether you know anything about blockchain or not, but you've handled camera, you create images, you're in that space, we can get you into this into the space. So if okay, to answer the question of whether Web3 is a hype, I mean, if Web3 is a hype, all of us will not be here. I mean, because Web3 have a lot of things to do with blockchain, in fact, by the nature of what we call Web3. Like, you can't talk about Web3 without talking about decentralization, all right? So we can't say it's a hype because everything is now pointing back to Web3 applications with the recent happening in this space, okay? If you're going to have access to your private key and your public key, you have to do that on a Web3-based app. So, I mean, that's the idea. Whatever we've, in fact, from the way blockchain is built and how it's designed to function, there shouldn't be a place for centralized exchanges in the first place, okay? Because it defeats the purpose of what we call the blockchain, all right? Blockchain in itself is an open ledger, it's an open source ledger, okay, so that anybody can go there and verify transaction made by anyone and all that. Okay, so the idea is to pass the ownership of funds to eliminate the middlemen, okay? So what we are running from in the traditional money system, where we have governing bodies like the central banks of different nations in the fiat system, is the centralized exchange are playing. I mean, if you're an influencer for any centralized exchange, I'm sorry, but I mean, we have to say the way it is, right? So these centralized exchanges are playing the role of a central governing body, for you to be able to do your transactions. Okay, so, and they are outside what we can capture as a Web3, application. So I feel like Web3 is not it's not a hype. Okay, Web3 is the real idea. I mean, that it summarizes what a blockchain has come to do, in the general ecosystem. All right.
All right. Now, to add to that, my thoughts on the question if Web3 is a hype is that Web3 on its own is a perfect idea. It's the future. We've seen use cases built around Web3 that solves problems surrounding every facet of life, and products are still going to be built and scaled up, looking at it from the Web2 perspective and then bringing it into Web3. But I would say Web3 has a little bit of hype. Web3 has a little bit of hype. I mean, the way people tend to put it. Let me give you an instance. Have you ever heard the term tech bro?
Yeah.
Have you heard the term tech bro?
Yes.
Now, most people that associate themselves as tech bro, most of them may not really be doing anything tech. What they do is they buy a MacBook, they get an eyeglass to look like a dev, they buy hoodie, they start wearing Adidas or what's it called? Nike. You know, they just look like that. They want to feel cool. That's the idea people are selling. So when they ask them, I'm a Web3 guy, I'm a Web3 lady, things like that, that's just the hype. And then it makes people that are coming into the space want to feel like, when will I be like this? Should they say if I come into Web3, I will turn to Tech Bro or Texas, something like that. So that's the only hype I see in Web3. But the real deal there is things, products, and protocols that are being built are solving real issues, and I think that's one thing that is really, really commendable. But if it's the way people are marketing it or the way people are presenting it, I think there is much of hype in it. That's just my opinion on it.
But that's true. I want to just react to what you've just said. Every successful product have to thrive on some form of hype. Okay, speaking from a business developer angle now, all right? It's not the best product that sells the most. It is the most marketed product that sells the most. So how do you market the product without, if you're making so much noise, you're hyping your product. It's as simple as that. Let's define Web3 from where we're coming from Web 1, 2, and 3. There's actually a Web 2 before Web 3. What are the products and platforms we can associate with Web 2? Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and all this Twitter and all these things. All right. And then I'm gonna give you time. Okay, just go ahead, please. Don't worry. Go ahead.
I think I'll go next. All right. For Web3, what we need to understand about Web3 is that Web3 is the next phase of internet.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to retrospect back to how the internet started, there was an era of Web 1, right?
Yes.
When we had static webs that you can't even interact with. You only go there to fetch information. Somewhere along the line, the internet transcended from Web 1 to Web 2, when we now started having pages that are not actually static, but rather something not really static. I'll just go as far as coming down to what we actually have now, Web 2.0. We actually now have pages that are very, very responsive. You no longer only go to fetch information from there, but rather you go to interact with those pages. I think about 20 years ago, there was nothing like internet games. You only have just pages that throw out information over there. But these days, we have internet games. In fact, most of the applications which we actually use, the likes of Microsoft Word, the likes of design tools, they no longer exist as a standalone application that runs on your system. They now run on the web. And that is what Web 2 brought for us, right?
Yeah.
Now, we are in another phase, and that is Web 3. Web 3 now tries to solve a lot of problems. Problems relating to intellectual property, problems relating to you not having access or full control over your personal details.
Exactly.
And another thing, problem revolving around authentication. Now, most of us here will have several accounts in different platforms. We find it difficult to remember our password. Two of us. That's very true. And another thing, when we try to go through the process of, maybe, let me just use the word KYC, this know your customer process. When we try to go through those processes, it is usually stringent. Like, it is very, very tiring. You put your phone number, you put your password, you put this, you put a picture, all just to identify you. Now, what if we just have just one single solution? That solution, wherever you go, we know you. If you enter this place, we know you. Your data, everything remains the same. Now, this is one of the things blockchain, Web3 is actually trying to bring to us. The next thing, that's authentication, right? Okay. Now, another thing is to make some things look right. Now, we have this aspect of social media where most times, if you being maybe you are just a regular user, you sort of have a mind of your own. At the end, your account gets deleted. Now, the actual thing there should be freedom of speech is free for everyone. Whichever type of speech you want to contribute to the public, it is left for you, right? Although there are some rules and regulations, but most times you actually don't get control. Whatever way, or if you should go maybe slightly along, out of the line, maybe out of the rules. Let me not even use rules. You go out of the mindset of the creator of that application, the person throws you away. But something like that shouldn't actually happen. I shouldn't be thrown away from a particular platform because I offended somebody. It shouldn't be so, right? Yeah. But rather, if there are rules there in the platform, then that rule should either determine if I'm thrown away or not. Now, what Web3 tries to stop things like that. Then the next thing also want to talk about is about security. Intellectual property. Let me go start with intellectual property. Now, that is where NFT comes into play in its good effect. Now, there are a lot of pictures out there. We have replicates or duplicates of a particular picture. We don't know the original creator of this picture, but somebody created this image. Now, what if we want to give attribution to the original content creator? How do we do that? We can't actually do that, right? Now, Web3 tries to bring a solution to that problem. If I'm the creator of a certain project, or of a certain picture, attribution can be given to me. The picture can actually be traced directly to me. The same thing goes to the music labels which you have today. Most of us will have the music of Timaya and the likes of them. In our phone, we didn't buy them. Somebody sent it to us, right? Now, if Timaya actually wants to make that music premium, before you have it, you have to pay for it. Web3 can actually make that thing happen. Let me give audience the next person.
All right, thank you so much for your contributions. We're actually going to quickly take one or two questions from the audience, and then we'll wrap it up. Who has a question that? Anybody? Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sorry, I'm just coming. I'm coming from Abakaliki. So it's just as if I'm lost. Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. I don't even know what they are. So I've tried researching. I still don't understand what they are. So just, can you please throw light on all this?
Please, can you help her?
Okay. Sorry, Sonia, right? Sonia, coming from Abakaliki. Welcome. That's where? Benita. Oh, sorry, Benita. Welcome. Benita, I think you want to do because of want of time, I'll summarize it. But you want to go home and do a bit of research. One of the attributes of things that we can associate with Web3, like I said before, is decentralization. Okay, decentralization, interoperability. I mean, these things will sound foreign, but that's the best way I would define that. When Trust was taking this session, Trust talked about how you can find elements of Web 2 in Web 3, but you can't find an element of Web 3 in Web 2. Okay, so Web 3 is an upgrade of Web 2. Let me give you an instance. I was trying to say that before. Web 3 brought social media to us. Okay, one of the things that you can associate with Web 3, it's community social media and all those things. There's a lot you can associate with that. But in that, you see that there is a central body that controls what happens in these platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and the rest. Okay, what Web 3 is going to do is to build an advanced kind of social media such that people are in control of intellectual properties like what Joshua has just mentioned. I mean, I'm on some of these applications like Fava. There's a lot of them, Fava, Lens Protocol, and all these things, right? So these are also social media platforms that does the same thing. that does the same thing that Facebook do, okay, but they give you the right to own the content that you publish on these places. I'll give you an example. There are a lot of disruption happening from in the Web3 space that's trying to disrupt things that we already have in Web3, like the email services. We know about the ENS, all right, Ethereum name services. We know about unstoppable domain and all these things. These are the things that would provide the same email services that we already have in the nature of Web2, which is the normal email that we have with the google.com and then the Yahoo and all those things, all right? So just basically that Web3 is an advancement of whatever you understand that is Web2. By that, I give you a basic example. One of the things that you can find, one of the products of Web2 is the social media pages that you're on, like Facebook, Instagram, and the rest. But what happens on Facebook and Instagram is that you create the content, but you're not the ultimate beneficiary of what they do with that content. They have data farming and they use your data for so many things, but you don't directly benefit from that. So Web3 have the same applications doing the same thing, but now giving the ownership rights to you, okay, Vanita or Anita, all right? So understand that Web3 is trying to build off of the loopholes of Web2, okay, to give that ownership back to you, all right? But there's a lot of research you can make when you get back home. Try to understand just the basics. Do basic research on Web2 and the basic research on Web3 and you'll be fine.
Thank you. It's been an amazing section, and in this section, they even cut soup for us. If you didn't hear about the MetaMask tea, please go and do that to enjoy the benefits. Thank you to everyone that was on this section. Please put your hands together for them. Thank you.